In the summer of 2010, self-proclaimed mad scientist Rintaro Okabe and his childhood friend Mayuri Shinha go to the Akihabara Radio Kaikan building to attend a seminar on time travel by Dr. Nakabachi. Whilst there, Rintaro meets a girl named Kurisu Makise, who claims to have met him 15 minutes before despite having never met her himself. Later, after receiving a scrambling video message on his phone, Rintaro hears a scream and discovers Kurisu lying in a pool of blood, indicating that she was stabbed to death. Upon sending an email about the situation to his friend Itaru Daru Hashida, Rintaro feels a strange sensation before discovering the streets have become vacant and a strange satellite has crashed into the radio building. Later, at Rintaro's future gadget laboratory works on a phone-controlled microwave that turns bananas into gelatinous form. Rintaro is surprised to learn that the seminar he was attending was apparently cancelled as if it had never taken place. Afterward, as Rintaro and Daru go to a forum being held, Rintaro discovers the email he sent Daru about Kurisu's stabbing had arrived 5 days earlier, before coming across Kurisu, who is alive and well. Surprised to find Kurisu alive, Rintaro is subsequently humiliated by her during a lecture concerning the unlikeliness of time travel. After getting some provisions from the androgynous Luca Urushibara, Rintaro meets Suzuha Amane, who is hired by his landlord Yugo Mr. Braun Tenoji as a part-time assistant in his electronic shop. Later, Rintaro investigates the supposedly altered events and learns that a man calling himself John Titor, who claimed in 2000 that he was a time traveler, has surfaced once more in 2010. Believing this John Titor to be a fake, Rintaro is shocked to find that all evidence of Titor appearing in 2000 has disappeared. The next day, Rintaro encounters a strange woman named Moeka Kiryu, who asks for information on a retro PC model called the IBM 5100, which Rintaro gathers from Daru. Later, as Rintaro and Daru once again experiment with their phone wave, a banana disappears from the oven and appears reattached to its bunch in gel form, at which point Kurisu arrives at the lab. Rintaro agrees to let Kurisu examine their phone wave on the condition that she becomes one of his fellow lab members, performing another experiment with the phone wave, which causes a burst of electricity when Mayuri opens it. Rintaro succeeds in sending another email to the past. This leads Rintaro to deduce that their phone wave is actually a time machine capable of sending text messages to the past. As Kurisu leaves the lab in denial, Rintaro hears about the Large Hadron Collider and micro black holes and asks Daru to hack into CERN. Later, after hearing from Titor about CERN allegedly creating a dystopian future, Rintaro and Daru learn that CERN has been performing top-secret experiments with micro black holes, which have resulted in human deaths. With further information about CERN's time travel experiments encrypted in a code that Daru can't decipher, Rintaro learns from Titor that he needs the IBM 5100 computer Moeka was looking for to decode it. Whilst out doing his laundry, Rintaro runs into Kurisu, who is still in denial about a time machine existing, and tells her about the IBM 5100. As Kurisu hears from a contact about the computer's capabilities, maid cafe owner Faris Nyanyan informs Rintaro that her family had donated an IBM 5100 to Luca's family shrine. Managing to borrow the IBM 5100 from Luca's father, Rintaro and Kurisu carry it back to the lab. Arriving back at the lab with Rintaro, Kurisu is met with a strange reaction from Suzuha. Whilst the gang gathering parts needed to connect the IBM 5100 with Daru's PC, Suzuha warns Rintaro to be cautious of Kurisu. Using the IBM 5100 to decipher CERN's encrypted files, Rintaro, Daru, and Kurisu learn that various people have been found dead in a gel-like state at various points in time as a result of their experiments. Kurisu deduces that the gelatinous state is a result of matter being squeezed at a molecular level whilst passing through the micro black hole. Despite the shock of this news, Rintaro vows to perfect the phone wave. Dubbing the messages they send to the past as D-mails, the group conducts further experiments, deducing the rules and limitations of sending D-mails. They learn what time they can send messages, how much data can be sent, and how far they can send them back. The next day, Moeka shows up at the lab to see the IBM 5100 and seeks to borrow it from Rintaro. After failing to hide the nature of their experiments from her, Rintaro ends up making Moeka his fifth lab member. After Daru updates the phone microwave's firmware, Rintaro decides to perform an experiment attempting to change history by sending winning lottery numbers to the past. Upon sending the D-mail, he experiences a sensation similar to the one he had before the satellite crash, discovering no one else was aware that the experiment ever took place. Rintaro finds his D-mail had indeed led to Luca purchasing a lottery ticket, although his own personal error led him to get the number wrong. After a brief encounter with Suzuha, Rintaro deduces that the D-mail had shifted him to a world line in which Luca had bought a lottery ticket and the D-mail experiment never took place, explaining everyone's altered memories. Confused as to why only he can remember the previous world line, Rintaro contacts Tider, who tells him he may have the power to become a messiah and lead the world beyond the 1% divergence point and hence change the dystopian future. Rintaro explains the nature of the world line shift to Daru and Kurisu and how he's the only one who can remember its changes, an ability he refers to as reading Steiner. As the experiments resume, Moeka requests to send a D-mail which shifts Rintaro to a new world line where no one else remembers Moeka. The next day, Luca comes to the lab asking to send a D-mail to before he was born so that he would be born as a girl, using an urban myth about how a diet can affect a baby's gender before birth. The group sends a D-mail to Luca's mother's pager, sending Rintaro to another world line, although he doesn't notice any obvious changes. As Faris learns about the phone wave upon overhearing a discussion between Rintaro and Daru, Rintaro discovers that the IBN has gone missing from the lab, which was apparently never found in the first place as a result of Moeka's D-mail. Kurisu deduces that the minor changes to the past that resulted from their previous D-mails have caused a butterfly effect, leading to changes beyond their control. After learning that IBN 5100 had been previously taken from Luca's shrine, Rintaro finds Moeka in town and confronts her, only to learn that she does not know the whereabouts of the IBN either. Rintaro also discovers that unlike a previous world line, everyone has met Moeka before in the current one, giving credence to Kurisu's theory. Rintaro and the others later visit Faris, whose true identity is revealed to be Rumiho Akiha, whose family owns Akihabara. Faris offers them information on the IBN 5100 in exchange for being allowed to send a D-mail 10 years into the past. Rintaro reluctantly agrees and allows her to send the D-mail, causing him to experience another world line shift. After learning from Faris's father that they no longer have the IBN 5100 in their possession, Rintaro discovers that the physical geography of Akihabara has completely changed, no longer being a mecca of anime culture. Realizing the D-mail Faris sent prevented Mo culture from being introduced into Akihabara, he discovers that Luca's earlier D-mail had in fact changed his sex to female. Afterward, Rintaro talks with Suzuha, who reveals she came to Tokyo to try and find her father, mentioning she will leave if she's unable to find him the next day. Rintaro then establishes her as a lab member and invites her to the lab for a farewell party. While preparing for the party, Rintaro receives a threatening text message telling him that someone is watching him, with a picture of a gelatin treat attached. Later, while shopping with Mayuri, he recalls that his reading Steiner ability may have first occurred when he was a child. Later that night, Suzuha sends a farewell text to Rintaro, prompting him to send a D-mail to himself, ordering him to convince Suzuha to attend the party and stay in Tokyo. Rintaro discovers that a CRT television in the electronic shop below the lab has been serving as the lifter from the phone wave, as the D-mails can only be sent when it is turned on. Kurisu then theorizes that it might be possible to send frontal lobe memories back in time through the phone wave, allowing the consciousness of a person to time leap into the past. As Rintaro goes into town with Mayuri to look for parts Kurisu needs, he explains to her that a time leap may be safer to conduct than simply sending D-mails due to the nature of chaos theory, as the D-mails can produce unexpected consequences once sent. They run into Moeka along the way, as well as Suzuha, who tells Rintaro that Kurisu allegedly works for CERN. As Kurisu denies this, she tells Rintaro about the problems she has with her father, who grew to hate her because she surpassed him in scientific prowess. Later on, when out shopping, Okabe receives another threatening text message with a picture of a severed doll's head attached, causing him to return to the lab, fearing for Mayuri's safety. Later, Daru informs the group that the lab has been connected to the CERN network without them knowing. With the ability to utilize CERN's LHC to compress memories into D-mail size, Kurisu completes her time leap machine, capable of sending one's memories up to 2 days into the past. However, Rintaro, still disturbed by the threatening text he has received, decides against using the device, suggesting they instead make their discoveries public. As the lab members decide to have a party, Kurisu comes into conflict with Suzuha, who claims she is destined to become a CERN spy in the future. But Mayuri manages to calm things down between them. While a bomb threat is televised, Suzuha, after hearing about the lab's connection to CERN, flees the lab, Led by Moeka, a group of armed men storms the lab who reveals herself to be a rounder hired by CERN. She orders Rintaro, Kurisu, and Daru to be detained before shooting and killing Mayuri, whom she deems as not being necessary. And that's the end of the video. Let me know what you think down in the comments section below. Don't forget to smash that like and subscribe buttons while you're at it, and as always, I will see you in the next video.